Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Holly Jensen. I am the Chief Operations Officer here at Cash Practice Systems. And with me is Dr. Miles Bodson, founder and CEO of Cash Practice Systems. And we are so excited to have you joining us here today. We're actually really excited about the number of you who have registered today because it lets us, we have hundreds of you who have registered. So it lets us know like this is a hot topic, especially for this time of year. Dr. Bodson, I'm going to ask you to just chime in and start saying a few words here.
I'll mute myself. Welcome, everybody. It's a great way to start the new year. Let me just start by saying, before we kind of roll into material today and get to the topic at hand, is Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you had a great holiday season and Merry Christmas and all of the above. It's exciting to get started a new year. We at our company are thrilled to be sharing and starting a new year and ready to help doctors. And it's a serious topic that we want to address today. I know I have kind of a upbeat voice right now, and Holly does too, but it's somewhat of a serious thing that this last year we did a lot of traveling, we learned a lot of things, and it's why we're going to do this topic today, because some of the things we've been hearing out on the road. But before I get started, Holly, is there any other like housekeeping we want to get started on or address for the attendees? I know everybody's probably used to doing Zooms these days and know what the protocols are, but why don't you give everybody, in case anybody's new to using Zoom or etc.
Well, crawl out from under your rock and strap yourself in because this is interactive. We are live. We are coming to you from East Tennessee. Today is January 8th, and we are live. So feel free to put your questions in the comment section, in the Q&A section. I will answer all questions anonymously because I know this is like a really sensitive subject and there's a lot of concerns over insurance reimbursement and high deductibles. And we are here to support you and show you a path to a better way. Instead of January, you have these deductibles resetting, and all your patients are like, well, crap, let me just come in when the insurance kicks in. And so we're going to address that with you. But Dr. Bodson, we've been out traveling all last year. It was our busiest year ever. And we have a really good pulse on what we're doing. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, this is the whole motivation. Holly and I were talking recently about this, that we've traveled a lot this year. In fact, it was our busiest travel year ever. And when we say travel, Holly and I are often speaking at different state associations. So we're either in Tennessee or Michigan or Wisconsin or Ohio, wherever it was. We've been traveling all over the place. So it's given us an opportunity to kind of get a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the industry in chiropractic. And we've spoken with hundreds of doctors, and we're hearing every year, we hear the same things that, insurance is challenging and deductibles are getting higher, but for some reason, and maybe we're just a little more paying attention a little bit more, maybe, I don't know what it is, but it seems that the concern, and I hate to use the word fear, it's not about scare, but just reality is that it seems to be a much more concerning topic this year than ever. We're hearing it more, and I know 20 years ago, and I'm dating myself here, we saw the writing on the wall that insurance was going to be getting worse over the years. And it seems that's been the trend. And as we travel the country, it seems to be that the concerns are getting greater and greater. So we decided, let's go ahead and address this topic head on, because we really believe we have some solutions for overcoming this. And we want to share that with you guys. That's the intention today, to share with you guys. Hopefully you find value in what we share with you guys, and you can start implementing it and help improve things in your practice so that you're able to serve your communities better and get better outcomes with your patients, because that's ultimately what we're here to do. And then at the end of the day, if you decide you want to learn more about what we do, we'd be happy to share that with you as well. And we all win in this scenario. So with that being said, go ahead.
So let's start up. So our company name is Cash Practice, and we're putting this webinar out as educational information to help more practices see more people and be successful. But what does it mean to be a cash practice, and why are we helping doctors with their insurance concerns?
Yeah, and the fact is, right, insurance. So there's this kind of oxymoron that our company is Cash Practice so obviously we deal with that, but here we're talking about insurance. And the reality is that almost every office that we've ever helped deals with insurance. They're not cash only. And what does it mean to be cash? It just means you're collecting a lot, you have systems and business models in place to help facilitate more private pay from the patients directly versus depending on insurance. And the reality is and I'm going to guess some of you listening to this right now are in the same boat where you collect enough money from your cash paying patients or private, direct from patients that the concerns over insurance become less and less and less over time. I know speaking from personal experience, when I was in practice, that was the case, that when the revenue from the private pay from patients was so high, you became less concerned with the insurance. So the fear around what was going on insurance became less of a burden. So sometimes people are confused when they hear our name as our sponsor, or our company. They're a little confused. What do we do with insurance? And I'm a cash practice. I don't need that, and etc. So we want to just kind of address that head on. That we help practices all the time. With that being said, though, we're going to address three key concepts, or three key things today. So by the time we're done, there'll be three things that you can take away and have a knowledge around to be able to help overcome the challenges we're seeing. And just to give you a sense, the challenges we're seeing is that deductibles are higher than ever before. Copays are higher. And then couple that with inflation and people spending money out of their own pocket is becoming more challenging for them. Right? So they have to, reach into their pockets to make these payments. But in spite of that, we see that if you apply the things we're going to share with you today, you can really overcome that. Holly, where do we want to go next with this? Do we want to share some of the case studies? Is that what we
Yeah,
want to
I
do?
want
Kind
you
of.
to tee this off with just letting our attendees know, like, number one, how profitable are they being? And we want to show actual case studies of practice because we've been doing this for over 2 decades. So we have a lot of data
Yeah, okay.
showing how profitable practitioners are being. But before you do that, when you share your screen, start with this quick disclaimer.
Okay, let me do that real quick. All right, so let me share my screen. And Holly and I, when we were discussing putting on the program today, we made the decision we were not going to do a traditional, slide presentation and we were going to have it be more conversational. But with that being said, we are going to show you a few slides just to kind of point out a couple things. Things. First thing I want to show you, for those of you looking on your screen, a couple disclaimers. Like any program, we're going to be showing you things and talking about things, and we just got to put a couple of disclaimers out. Number one is there's no guaranteed results. You got to apply these things and make sure you're working at it properly. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to always get the results, but our experience has been generally you do. We're not really going to be talking about leaving insurance companies, so that's not really an issue here. We're not going to really talk about fees per se, what you should be charging or what doctors charge, so that's not an issue. One of the disclaimers I want to point out is specifically to this topic is number four, is that we're going to show you some case studies right now of examples of doctors applying the things we're about to teach you and the impact it has on their practice. And by no means, again, is it a guarantee you'd have the same experience. So it's for illustration purposes and educational purposes, but nonetheless, I think it gets a point across. That being said, let's go into this. What I'm going to show with you is just simply some case studies. And what I'm kind of outlining here is similar to what you would do or I would do with patients. And that is, I want to show them the potential benefits of chiropractic care so that it kind of gets them excited about wanting chiropractic care. So I'm going to show you right now the potential benefits of doing what we are going to talk to you about so that you're excited about this whole topic. That's ultimately the intention here. Let me explain what you're going to see here. I'm going to show you a few case studies from a few different doctors. This is Dr. BW here, who's been a client of ours since 2015. And what you're seeing on your screen here is from their dashboard inside of our application. And it's showing revenue in this case, per month, monthly revenue. And you're going to see three different colors. Well, in this case, you only see two. You see green and gold. And the green represents revenue from one-time payments. This is generally going to be your prepay money, your copays. It's one-time payments. So each month, how much money do they collect for one-time payments? The gold is really what I want you to focus on as I go through this. The gold represents your wellness patients, your maintenance patients, people who are paying a monthly recurring amount for ongoing wellness and maintenance care. That's a big part of a practice. And so you'll see here, if we go back to January of 24 through, the present time here, it's showing the amount of money coming in each month. Now, this is a pretty successful practice. We're seeing they're doing $500,000 a month here, over $500,000 a month in revenue. And you see a good portion of it is the one-time payments green. The gold doesn't look that big, but if you look at the number on the bottom right here, it shows over $100,000 of gold money coming in. When I say gold, that's your wellness, that's your maintenance, that's your recurring revenue. I don't know about you, but I certainly would love to have a practice where I was collecting over $100,000 a month of just wellness patients coming in, right? That revenue. And the reason I'm illustrating this is because ultimately what we're going to share with you is that as you build a practice this way, your concern about high deductibles becomes less and less. And we travel around and talk to doctors, that's what they ultimately want to do is they don't want to be dealing with every year they have to worry about deductibles and copays and all of this stuff. They want to get to a place where their practice is successful regardless of that. What you're
And
seeing
Dr.
here,
Watson, I
yes, go
want to
ahead.
just emphasize what our audience is seeing. This is cash collection. So this might be money that they're collecting towards deductibles and copays, but it also represents patients who are paying out of pocket happily.
Right. This is just out-of-pocket revenue. This has nothing to do with insurance money. The thing I want you to see here is the practice growing year after year, right? So in 2016, they were doing 1.3 million, and as recently as 2025, they did 6.4 million in revenue. That's an extremely I mean, that's a very lucrative practice right there, right? Now, you'll see here the green again is their one-time payments, and the gold is going up each year, going is the maintenance and wellness. The key takeaway I want you to get from these case studies I'm going to show you right now is that a lot of the growth of the practice is in the gold. Now, granted, this green is there's a lot of one-time payments here, but really where the stability of the practice comes, the freedom comes from is in that gold area. Again, those being your wellness and maintenance patients. This is showing that same practice now. You don't see any green on this. This is showing future revenue. We just got this screenshot. It shows January of 2026 on the far left. And then into the next year, how much are they collecting? And you'll see here, they're collecting over $130,000 per month in wellness care into the future. And I ask each of you, do you know how much money you're collecting each month for the next year? Do you have that already scheduled out that you know you have money coming in next month, 2 months from now, 3 months from now? And that's what this is showing. Think
Imagine
about
the
what that feels like.
freedom that these practices have, just peace of mind freedom, taking their foot off the gas freedom, being able to step away for a couple of weeks with their family while they're out on holiday vacation. They have predictable revenue coming in of cash that they can depend on, whether it's January or June.
Exactly. And that's kind of the takeaway message here is that you're building this monster of a practice that has all this recurring revenue coming in. Now, this is that same practice going back now, looking at their entire history. So this is going back all the way back to 2015 to the present day. And again, what you're seeing here is green is showing that one-time payment and growth, but the gold is your maintenance patients. That's really where the takeaway message here is that even though they're seeing lots of one-time payments coming in, probably prepay money, probably money going to deductibles, probably copay money, all that gold represents all those patients that are going on to the maintenance patients. Here's another case study. This is Dr. MW, member since 2008. Again, same concept here. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Just the concept being is lots of gold, lots of gold. That's what you want in your practices. That's what shields you basically from the concerns with these deductibles. Now, we're going to address the deductibles. Don't get me wrong. We're not going to ignore that. But I'm just sharing with you that when you build a practice this way, you become less and less concerned about those things. Here's that same practice showing annual revenue from 2012 to 2025. Now, this is a great illustration here. The green, again, the one-time payments, yes, that grew, especially in the last few years. It's grown substantially from prior years. The purple, which I didn't explain before, because we couldn't really see it on the previous one. The purple represents recurring payments for new patients. So this is a new patient who enrolls in 6 months of care or 8 months of care. It's a care plan in essence. And what I want you to notice is in the purple, each year, it's about the same, meaning the revenue from new patients enrolling in care from year to year is about the same. It doesn't really grow. Where's the growth coming from? The gold. That in fact, if we were to look at this practice and remove the gold and just look at their revenue from new patients, which is the green and purple, it's about the same year to year to year. It's growing some, but not tremendously. Where the real growth happens is in the maintenance patients, where they're adding more people into wellness and maintenance care. That's where the substantial growth happens. Now, I've yet to meet a doctor who doesn't want that, who doesn't want to see a lot of maintenance and wellness patients and have that practice growing year after year. And the only practices that do this are the ones that grow like this year after year and don't plateau, are the ones that are consistently converting patients into wellness and maintenance care. Now, here's that same practice looking at their future revenue, going from January 26 to December 26. And again, that goal, that's consistent cash flow coming in every year for the next, every month, I should say here for the next year. So again, that you get the point there that we're seeing this revenue growth. Here's that same practice over the course of their lifetime of being a client, right? From 2000, looks like from about 2012 to the present day. If you look at the green and gold, it's about the same every month. It's about the same. It doesn't change all that much. Whereas the gold is what's growing. Again, if we removed all of that wellness and maintenance, that practice would probably be pretty flat. It would probably be about the same. So the point being here, again, what I'm driving home is, docs, the key to your freedom in practice, the key to success in long-term growth of a practice is having all those patients that you're seeing and initially coming in, successfully having them go on to wellness care.
Dr.
I'll do
Boston,
one more.
can you go
Yeah.
back one more?
Yes.
So earlier when we were, I'm sorry, forward. Maybe you went back too.
Forward.
Yeah, forward. So earlier when we were preparing and we were discussing these case studies, you had pointed out to me what happened during the pandemic and how it wasn't
Yeah.
scary for practices like this because they had predictable revenue
Yeah,
coming.
let's look at that. That's a great point. So here around where my mouse is, this is around 2020, right? This is October 9th, the 2019. This is 2021. So right in this area here. And what if you really zoom in on this, you'll see the green right here. This is right when that's right around COVID. And you'll see their one-time payments went where it was up high and it dropped off a cliff and then it slowly creeped back up. So we saw this across the board in our system that during COVID, one-time payments dropped by about 50%. So if your practice was dependent upon one-time payments, you saw in the month of around March, April, May of 2020, you saw your revenue drop by half. Whereas all the recurring revenue, which is the purple and especially the gold here, you don't see any real dip here. You see a little dip here of the purple, and that's because new patients are what go onto these purple plans. That's your care plans. Whereas the gold is your wellness care. You don't really see a dip here much. You don't see a dip really at all. So the practices that were heavily, had a lot of wellness and maintenance patients, they didn't see their revenue impacted. They really didn't feel any financial impact of COVID as an example. So the point being is that it shields you. So when you have this, you're shielded from the standpoint of bad things happening out in the world impacting the practice. Whereas we see stats of other practices that didn't have a lot of maintenance or wellness patients, and they saw their revenue really get hammered for a couple months during that window of time. Holly, do you want us to jump in
Yeah,
there?
Dr. Boston, I just we have some existing cash practice members on this webinar and they're like, "Well, what are my stats? What is my data?" You guys have access to this. It's on your dashboard when you log into cash practice. The first page you see when you log in, you just click on your auto debit system stats right there in the middle of your dashboard, and you have access to all of this data.
Yeah, there's a ton of data on your dashboard. And we know in cash practice, you just bring it up. Oftentimes, the doctors themselves aren't logging in. It's their team members who are logging into the system all the time. Doctors, if you just log in and go on the dashboard, you'll see at your fingertips, you have a ton of data to be able to kind of assess what's going on in your practice. And if you need any help with that, understanding what you're seeing, please let us know. We'll be happy to help you out with that. Let me do one more and then we'll get into the topic
Yes,
because
please.
I don't want to take all the time with this. But the point being is, again, I'm just kind of hammering the point. Another case here, or that's again, showing the monthly revenue, how much gold is in there. And I'm sure you've thought about this before. If 10% or 15 or 20% of your patients, new patients, went on to wellness care, many of you would be like, I never need another new patient because you're so busy with your wellness patients, right? Because you'd be so busy because we've all probably seen thousands of patients in our careers and how many of them go on to lifetime care and maintenance care. That's ultimately the takeaway here. Again, another practice going from back to 2018 to 2026, seeing that growth. And again, when you look at this, generally from year to year, the green and the purple is relatively the same. Now, you'll see, and obviously they jumped up here, but really where the growth is in gold. I can't, and we made it gold as a reason because that's really where the gold in the practice is. That's where your patients are getting the best benefits from your care, and as well as where the growth is happening in the practice.
So,
I can keep going. We probably have a million other
yeah.
case studies, but
So
let's move on from this.
yeah, so Dr. Bodson, so one thing that I mean, the reason why we're illustrating these points is to drive home others are doing this. We have thousands of clients. We speak to thousands of doctors every year. Like what you're experiencing right now with this great deductible reset every January, you're not alone in this, but we're showing you these case studies to let you know like there is a path to freedom. And in fact, I'm going to be putting in to the Zoom chat right now. If you're driving, you're on your phone, don't worry. I will email this to you after the webinar. It's a worksheet. And this worksheet, we call it your Freedom Score worksheet. And this is going to help you calculate the insurance tax, we call it, that you're currently paying, which is going to help you identify your path to freedom. Because the only way that these practices and these case studies can grow month after month, year after year, is by continuously adding in new patients and, most importantly, keeping them. And Dr. Bodson, how are they doing that?
Yeah, so let's say, how do we do this? Let's talk about, so we're going to share 3 points with you. Point number one is this. In order to convert people to wellness care, that means they have to have successfully completed an initial program of care. That means they have to qualify clinically that they're ready for wellness care, that you've accomplished some clinical outcome, whether that is, you've restored their cervical curve, whether you corrected their posture, whatever floats your boat in practice, whatever your gig is, whatever your outcome that you're trying to accomplish is, you've accomplished that with the patient and they're ready to go to wellness. And I want to share with you the most powerful way or most successful way to consistently convert people to wellness care. And that is when it's time to deliver the good news that they qualify for wellness, that they've accomplished the initial goal of care. They've corrected their spine, let's just say. We'll use that as the definition here. And they're ready for wellness. You must do two things. Doctors, you must do two things. One is you deliver the good clinical news. Hey, John, great news. You're ready for wellness care. Your spine has been corrected. Your x-rays have improved. Your scans have improved, yada, yada, yada. You're ready for it. The second thing you must do is you must deliver good financial news. You must deliver good financial news. The thing that gets in the way of most people going to wellness care is you're not doing that. You're telling them they're ready for maintenance, but then you're telling them they have to do something new. Like, let's say John prepaid me 6 months ago for care, and now John has to be told it's time for a new program. Do you want to do this? And they have to make a decision around it. Versus if John had been paying me a monthly installment towards his care, let's say the last 6 months he's been paying me $400 or $500 a month, and I get to say to John, great news, you're ready for wellness care. Your scans have improved, your x-rays have improved, everything's improved. And by the way, your $500 payment, your monthly payment is going down to $150 or $200 or whatever it is. Just that subtle thing of delivering the good financial news that the thing they're used to doing is going to get easier for them. It's going from a higher monthly amount to a lower amount. That will skyrocket the number of people going on to wellness care. That one thing alone. However, you have to understand in order to do that, in order to set yourself up and the patient up to be able to actually have that conversation that they're ready clinically and financially it's going to get better for them, that means they have to have been on a care plan to begin with and paying it monthly. If you don't do that from the beginning, you're not going to successfully transition that person to wellness care. It just won't happen. That for you to have someone who consistently comes in twice a month or once a week or whatever your wellness model is for that particular patient, that means they had to have done things correctly from the beginning, which means you have to have recommended 6, 8, 12 months of care, whatever it is that patient clinically needed. And most importantly, when you offer them some options for paying for it, they're paying it for it on a monthly amount for most patients. That's how most patients will do that. And by doing so, you're now allowing yourself to have a better conversation at the end of that treatment plan. So that's concept number one, is you must put people on care plans. Now, here we're talking about, and we marketed this whole webinar around overcoming deductibles. Like we marketed around that topic, and I want to address that because when it comes to a care plan, oftentimes if someone has insurance and you want to build that care plan to incorporate the insurance, that's a key concept that if you don't do that, you will lose people. That if you go ahead in the model of saying, I want to use their insurance and then later convert them to cash, good luck. Good luck. It just doesn't work very well. You must, with a new patient, build a care plan. And I emphatically say must, because if you want to successfully do this, this becomes the business model. You present the care plan, and if they have insurance, you incorporate it. Now, if they have insurance, maybe the insurance is great, where there's a very low deductible and low copays and all that, and you incorporate that, and we can teach you how to do all of that. However, the scenario might be is they come in with a $5,000 deductible. And the care plan you're recommending is only going to be $4,000 of services, and there's no way you're going to meet that deductible. And how do you handle that? What do you do in that scenario? So let me give you a strategy here. If you have a patient with a high deductible and the care you're going to be recommending is going to be less expensive than the entire deductible. So your care plan's 4 grand, but the deductible's 5. So reality is you're never going to actually get paid from the insurance company. That's the reality of it. The deductible's too high. Here's the thing, the strategy I want to share with you. In that scenario, you may actually want to give the patient the opportunity to opt out of their insurance. And there's a way to do that, and we'll share a resource for that. The reason I say that is because generally when you're going to build a care plan, part of the strategy of building a care plan is you're going to apply some discount to those services. Now, we're not going to get into the compliance and all of that stuff in this particular webinar, but you're limited in what kind of discounts you can apply. You can't just do it haphazardly or do really high discounts. But the reality is you're going to usually do some kind of maybe 5 or 10% discount by packaging your services into a care plan. However, if someone has a high deductible and they want you to bill your services to the insurance to help meet their deductible, even though the insurance is going to pay anything, it's just to help them meet the deductible. The challenge is you can't provide any discount to the patient on those services. They have to pay full price because you're not allowed to discount anything that gets applied to insurance. That includes their deductible. So you follow me on this, is you're providing a $4,000 care plan, they have a $5,000 deductible, and meanwhile, that $4,000 care plan has a discount being applied to it. You can't apply the discount if you're going to then bill it to the insurance. So you have a decision to make. Either you don't discount the services and you package the care in with full prices, or you give the patient the opportunity to opt out of their insurance, and they can do that through HIPAA, and they opt out of their insurance. And when they do so, now they're a cash patient, and you're going to provide your discount to that patient. That's one strategy of handling the deductible when it's really high compared to the care plan that you're doing. Now, if the deductible is lower than your care plan, the care plan's $4,000, but the deductible is $1,000. Well, in that case, you're likely going to meet the deductible and still be able to get reimbursed some money from the insurance carrier. In that case, we do not recommend you have the patient opt out of the insurance. They do not. And then when you build your care plan, whatever services are being applied to the deductible, no discount is applied to that. But any services that are not covered by insurance, you can apply the discount to. So in that scenario, it might be the services going towards the deductible are full price. Any services covered by insurance, there's no discount. And if there's any services that are not covered by insurance, those the discount would apply to. So that's the strategy. Again, it really depends on, is the deductible higher than the care plan costs? That's the strategy we find works best at that. But the bottom line is, regardless whether there's insurance, regardless whether there's a deductible, regardless of any of that, the patient should still be presented a care plan that covers the entire course of care they need to accomplish the outcome you're trying to accomplish with the patient.
Dr. Bodson, I want to chime in. One quick disclaimer. You cannot do this with Medicare patients.
Correct.
And you cannot force or require patients to opt out of filing their insurance as a condition of treatment.
Correct. Thank you for that disclaimer.
Yes, I will also add in our follow-up email that we send out to you for those who've registered, I will be including a resource on how you can do this even if you're in network with the insurance company. It all falls in with the HIPAA High-Tech, HITECH, High-Tech Act. I'll include all of that in there, and there's some resources, including the forms courtesy of our friends at ChiroHealth USA, where the patients can actually opt out of you filing their insurance and actually then opting back in once their deductibles been met. So I will send that out.
So you check your email when this is all over. You'll have again that resource for you. It's a valuable tool to use, and it's a good strategy to have kind of in your back pocket when you need it. Not saying you use it all the time, but it's there for you if that specific example happens where the deductible is much higher than the cost of the care plan. And as Holly said, and I think I used the language, you give the patient the opportunity to opt out. It's not something that's forced. You can't make them do it, but they may say, no, I'd rather pay full prices, on the care plan and have it help meet the deductible. That's their choice. But a lot of patients would rather be like, hey, if I, opt out of the insurance and I pay out of pocket less money because of the fact that you're able to provide a discount to them in that case, then in a lot of cases, the patient would opt to do that.
Yeah, and
So
Dr. Bodson, so you brought up something. Let's touch on that because some people might be hearing this for the first time. Why in the world would you offer a discount for non-insured services?
yeah, that's a good question. So it's really just a business model that when you do a care plan, the incentive a lot of times for a patient is that they're saving some money by being on the care plan versus paying visit by visit. It's no different than going to Costco, right? You buy things in bulk, you kind of expect to get some kind of discount on those services. Now, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be, oh, you're getting a 30% discount. It could be as little as 5 or 10%. It doesn't have to be a large amount. It's just that's from a business model. We find that to be a very effective thing to do, that when you're presenting a care plan, in your day one, day two process, be able to show them like, hey, if you're paying per visit, it's this, but if you're on our care plan, it's this lower amount, and that just works really, really well. That's the whole reason for doing it.
And the care plan is not patients aren't paying per visit, right? Can you expand on that? Like that goes back to those case studies we were showing.
Yeah, so the reality is that when you present a care plan to someone, there's going to be some total cost, right? 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, whatever it is. And that plan is not then paid to the patient's not paying it per visit per se. They're paying it, they're committing to the whole thing, and generally we'll split it up into monthly payments, or more likely what we'd love them to do is make a little down payment, maybe a third down, and the rest of it's paid monthly. That's the strategy, that you want them paying it over the course of the treatment plan. So if their treatment plan is 6 months, they're making 6 months of payments. If it's 8 months, they're making 8 months of payments. You want to keep that payment in sync with their treatment plan. And there's a lot of psychology behind that. It mainly goes back to when it goes to transitioning people to wellness care, you want them used to making that monthly payment. So when you go to wellness or maintenance, you can deliver the good financial news that that payment's going down. That's kind of a set in stone process we want to do when running the practices. That's the model we want to follow. That works extremely well. So from the standpoint of the concept that we want you to get across here is, number one is, for you to have lots of people going to maintenance and wellness so that you're not worried about deductibles in the future, right? Ultimately, that's you want the freedom you want. The strategy initially is care plans, and if someone has a high deductible, there's a strategy of how do you address that. And we just kind of shared with you the concept, and we'll send you the resources for that. Now, there's some scripting that can go along with that as well, and I know that's another resource we have available for you. Some examples of some scripting you can use with a patient when this comes up. Holly, I know you wanted to share a little bit about we have a few different scenarios, but I know you wanted to kind of demonstrate one of the scenarios.
Yeah, before I do that though, I did want you to mention um that for new patients, like best case scenario, and new patients come in, it's the start of the year and they want to use their insurance, right? We teach packaging up their insured and non-insured visits right from the very beginning. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, yeah, I'll touch on that again. So when you're building your care plans, and as I kind of shared earlier, you want to build into it all services, whether they're covered or not. In fact, one good, I think, strategy to have is when you're building your treatment plan for a patient. I know me as a doctor, I'm going to suggest you as a doctor as well, is you don't even know how they're paying for it. You don't know whether they have insurance or not. Like, you just know I'm going to build the proper treatment plan for that person, regardless of whether there's a deductible, whether there's insurance or no insurance. You're not doing a diagnostic on what their insurance covers for you to come up with a treatment plan. You're going to formulate what you believe is the best treatment plan for that particular patient, whether that's including adjustments, therapies, laser, re-exams, orthotics, whatever it is you're doing in your practice that you think is ideal. Then once you do that, you will then build the care plan, or your team member will build a care plan and incorporate any insurance as part of that. But again, you want to make sure that it's built properly. I also will share with you, there's a lot of wrong ways of building a care plan. We've seen it over and over, especially with insurance. There's a lot of ways of doing it incorrectly, where either your discounts are wrong or too high, or you're discounting things that shouldn't be discounted, or you're applying insurance to the care plan incorrectly and you're losing money. You're actually leaving money on the table. So you want to make sure it's set up correctly. There's a proper way of doing that. But the point being is that if you incorporate the insurance as part of the initial care plan, when the insurance is exhausted, when it's expired or done and used up, it's a non-event. You no longer have to have let me back up. A common reason you lose a patient is because, oh, my insurance ran out, And they're like, well, my insurances were used up, so I'm not coming back anymore. Okay, that's a common reason we lose patients. Another common reason we lose patients is, oh, I'm feeling better, so why am I still coming in, right? We all struggled with that. Oh, patients feeling better and they drop out. The reality is when you put a patient on a care plan and you incorporate the insurance, you will stop losing people because they're feeling better, assuming you're doing all the other stuff correctly and educating patients and all of that stuff. And as well as you will no longer lose people because the insurance runs out. Because when they're on the care plan, you incorporate the insurance, you no longer have to have a conversation with the patient of, hey, Holly, your insurance is exhausted. You now have to pay a new amount. Like you no longer have that conversation. And because of that, you're not going to lose those people. So I know some of you on here right now do care planning already, and this is not new to you, but some of you on here, this may be a whole new concept for you to do a care plan that incorporates the insurance. The frustration of losing people because the insurance ran out will no longer be part of your practice, giving you greater opportunity to then eventually transition them to wellness care. And I'm kind of giving you some key nuggets here. Going to wellness care is about delivering good clinical and financial news. Key nugget is incorporating the insurance with the care plan. Key nugget, if there's a high deductible, how you have potentially given the option to opt out of that deductible or their insurance so that you're no longer you're no longer restricted by that, or the patient elects to use it and you're just not giving the discount. One more concept we want to get across. And before I do that, though, I want to go back to you, Holly. I just kind of introduced the concept of we wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of share a little taste of what one of these scenarios, if you're going to have a conversation with a patient, what that might sound like. And again, we have the scripting available for you guys, but I know there's a few different scenarios we outlined, and you
Yeah,
wanted to demonstrate one of them.
I have about four different scenarios of scripting that I want to give you guys for free. We want you to use this as a resource. We want your team to have this information because we know right now, like the first quarter of the year, your team basically is spending their first few months of the new year performing free labor for the insurance companies. They're calling to verify benefits, that have changed from last year to this year, and then only to find out the patient has like this new massively higher deductible and copays. And the most prominent mistakes that team members or even doctors are making is letting patients pause care until their deductibles met. And then 90% of those patients never come back. They're like, "Oh, I'm feeling better all of a sudden. It's a miracle." So, I'm going to role play one scenario with you with the scripting. I'm going to call it the deductible bridge scripting. And this is for you to use with patients when they're concerned about high deductibles, which most teams like avoid discussing, which leads to patients delaying care or stopping care. So, this exact scripting, so this is the deductible bridge. This is one of four scenarios that I have scripted out that we want to give to you guys. And the scenario is the patient comes in today and I tell them like, "Oh, hey Jane, today it's going to be $150." And she's like, "Oh my God, what? $150? My copays are $20 a visit." And so now I have to have that conversation with her. So I'd be like, "Oh, Jane, I completely understand. It's that time of year, your deductible reset, it's $5,000. And I understand that's a big mountain to climb. But here's the concern. If we stop your care now, the progress that you've made over the last few months is going to slide backward and you'll likely end up spending more money in the long run to fix that relapse." So what Dr. Bodson has done is he set up the deductible bridge plan. So instead of you paying $150 a visit out of pocket 6 times a month for your treatment plan, which totals $900 a month until the deductibles met, we can move you to a monthly care plan for $350 a month. It keeps you on track. It's more affordable than your out-of-pocket costs. And then we can always incorporate your insurance once your deductibles met later this year. Would you like to see how that looks?
And
So
hearing go ahead.
go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
no. I
So
was going to say, hearing something like that, basically, it's opening the conversation. It's addressing the concern. And what I want to note here is like you identify with the challenge, you empathize with it, but then you offer a solution. And we often teach that when we want to when there's an awkward conversation that has to happen, oh, I'm raising my fees, or I'm leaving an insurance company, oh, your deductible's high. It's a three-step conversation that you just illustrated there. Step one is you've identified it. Yo, there's this problem out there. Your deductible's high, right? And it's creating this challenge. The challenge is that it's going to cost you more money. But here's the solution. The solution is we've offered you this new program. Would you like to learn more about it? That three-step conversation works very well. And here's a perfect example of it, as well as, again, like, oh, I got to raise our fees, or we're leaving an insurance company. And I know you have a variety of scenarios like that. Giving your team the examples there to be able to go back and practice and rehearse. It's
Yes.
one thing to have a script, docs, or to have an idea of what to be said. It's another thing though to sit down and train on it, right? So you sit down with your team and they review it and they practice it, and they have that at their fingertips to be able to utilize.
You know,
How are they going to get that, by the way?
yes. Okay. Thank you. So, how they're going to, if you guys want this script, and in addition to the script, I have some email copy that you can send out to your patients of, when they have concerns in regards to like their deductible reset and they're waiting to come in until their deductible's met. In addition to the script that addresses four different scenarios, I'm going to give you the exact copy that you can email out to patients to recall them, basically to get them into the office and let them know that you have flexible payment options during this time, and that you want to take care of them basically. So in order to be able to get this deductible bridge script and the email copy, what you're going to do is you're going to book a demo. You're going to go to cashpractice.com/success. You're going to book a demo. And when you complete the demo, we will make sure that you get the exact scripting that your team needs to handle those insurance objections with ease.
And I just want to share, we have some resources we're giving you regardless of whether you get a
Yeah.
demo or not. Those are getting emailed out to you. I just want to clarify. There's some resources you're going to be getting after this. This particular resource, it's a little carrot. We'd love to do a demo of our systems with you. And when you do a demo, whether you sign up with us or not, is regardless, just for attending the demo, we'll go ahead and send you that additional resource that Holly's referring to like that. So that's our way of saying thanks for giving us the opportunity to at least demonstrate our systems to you. There's a third thing I want to bring up, and that is in all of this success. We talk about care planning, and we've kind of just introduced the concept here, as well as how to handle the deductible associated with it. The last piece of this that I didn't really mention, or maybe kind of mention, but I want to emphasize, and that is the payments associated with the care plan and those wellness patients. Keep in mind, all that gold I was showing you, that's automatic recurring revenue. That's cards on file being automatically, charged every month for those services. Imagine in your practice having all of your new patients with their card on file, and you have 50, 100, 200 families that are coming in, all scheduled to pay you $300, $400, $500 a month on their initial care plans. You got families on wellness care paying you a couple $100 a month on wellness care. And before you know it, you've scheduled 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a month of recurring revenue. And I'm going to tell you the freedom that you have with automated recurring revenue in your practice. It's like if you've not experienced that, it's a vastly different lifestyle than it is when you are constantly worried about your next dollar coming in from insurance and from new patients. See, when you have a practice with, call it $50,000 a month of recurring revenue coming in, you don't care whether you have a new patient or not. I shouldn't say you don't care. You're not concerned whether you have a new patient coming on, because at the end of the day, if you don't have that recurring revenue, your revenue is dependent on new people showing up. Let's be frank. You're marketing for new patients, you're getting new patients, and most of your revenue is coming from those new patients. When you have a practice with a lot of recurring revenue from your long-term existing wellness patients, if no new patients show up, you're not worried. Financially, from a business perspective, you're doing just fine, which is the definition of freedom in practice. And ultimately, now let me back up. I'm not saying you don't want to market, you don't want new patients. I'm just simply saying is sometimes it feels nice to not worry about whether you have a new patient or not. And it's a freeing way to practice. The other thing I'll share with you, if any of you right now are building a practice with the intention that one day you're going to exit your practice, you're going to sell it. I know a big thing right now. We have a number of clients who build multiple clinics with the intention that they're going to sell it off to venture capitalists in the future and make a big killing, right? I will tell you when it comes to the valuation of your practice, how much it's worth, how much another doctor or company or investor is willing to pay for that practice is tremendously impacted on whether you have recurring revenue or not. If your practice is all one-time payments, it's all new patient dependent, it's all personal injury, whatever it is, it'll be worth some value. But if that same practice, same volume of people, same dollar amount was all recurring revenue, it's worth 3, 4 times the value of the other practice just from selling it. The desirability of a practice that has lots of recurring revenue is much higher than a practice that's very insurance dependent or very PI dependent, exact or one-time payment dependent. So just put that out there. There's a lot of benefits. And last but not least, but most importantly, is I think we could all agree that your patients are probably getting better clinical outcomes when they follow through with care and go on to maintenance and wellness. And after all, as doctors, that's what we want, right? We want better clinical outcomes. We don't want just people feeling better, right? We want to get in the true benefits of chiropractic care, which I think we could all agree is it's on the other side of symptom improvement. It's on the other side of correction that they're doing chiropractic as part of their lifestyle. And as much as I'm concerned about the things we're hearing out in the industry right now about fears around deductibles and insurance, I also believe right now is probably the most exciting time to be in practice. We see all the things going on with the MAHA movement, and you just saw with the immunization schedule change and the food pyramid get flipped over. Like the desirability of people focusing on health and wellness, it's probably higher than it's ever been in a long, long time. So I'm very excited where we are right now in this in the work and the potential we have of serving our communities. And I think the opportunity for success is greater than ever. And I think people are desiring wellness and maintenance and all the things that we advocate for and promote. And that's why we're doing this. We're doing this because we want you to be successful. Yes, there's money to be made, and that money is a reflection of the value you bring to the marketplace and the value you bring to your communities. But at the end of the day, we're doing this so that your patients are getting better served and better helped. Holly,
Yeah.
is there anything we want to say before we
Yeah,
kind of wrap
and
up
as a
here?
team member, it's a much more rewarding experience to work in an environment where you're not constantly having awkward financial conversations with patients. And so here at Cash Practice, not only do we give you the tools like the care plan calculator, which helps you create those cash and insurance blended plans for individuals, families, maintenance care, wellness care, PI plan, whatever type of plan you can think of, our care plan calculator can handle it. Also, it includes the compliant legal language, the good faith estimate disclaimers, all of the things that you need to create a compliant, affordable care plan for your patients. And then we also offer the auto-debit system, which helps you just be able to track and receive money in a way that's convenient from your patients, creating a frictionless payment experience for your team and for your patients. That's the value that we bring, and we'd love to give you an opportunity to see how that can look in your practice. So take action, go visit cashpractice.com/success, book your demo, and our free gift to you for completing that demo will be the scripting, 4 different scenarios, scripting that your staff can use to help turn those I gotta stop care because of my insurance deductibles and copays into yes, and getting more and more patients doing that and giving you more freedom. Also attached earlier in the follow-up email is a worksheet for you to determine your freedom score. So that will be your path to seeing how a cash first model can work to help you better thrive in 2026. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. You guys, thank you so much for joining us today. If we could be of service or if you have any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us.